I know. We could like almost start the conversation halfway through, but then people would not get the benefit of what we were even talking about. But of course, Jess, what we will just acknowledge is that we're thicken birthday month for you. And
yes, thank you, Mix.
Yeah.
Love me some good June.
I know, it's so good. So of course you have your, health checks, which is great. And then your spray tan and your makeup, which is fantastic. And
all the things I do. And we can also add one more thing. My younger brother had a baby over the weekend. So
oh my God, that doesn't normally happen.
I know. It's been a week. It's been a fun. There's lots of things. And June is pretty great. I'm here for the month of June, sister.
Now tell me, is that your first nephew?
It's not. I have two other ones.
Yeah.
This is the first son of my younger brother and his wife, and he came early. So I told him, I welcomed him into the preemie club. So I was born 2 months early.
Oh, wow.
Evan, my new nephew, was born a month and a half early.
Wow.
But he's kicking ass and taking names and doing really well. Like his body's all sturdy. And so he'll just get to live in this hotel, which is not really, but this hospital is so freaking nice. So he's doing great. It's definitely been a nice celebratory month, and it's not over yet. So I still have some more partying things to do. So cheers to the shenanigans. And, it's, but all the while you continue to, I pause all the time on, health and the definition of that every single day and what that looks like and what that feels like. And, it's not, just in case you all needed a reminder, it is not just about your protein intake and how much strength training you did and all the supplements you took. Or it is bigger.
It is bigger. And related, but a complete tangent, is just enjoying some Ninja Creamy after my lunch. And I have half a tub.
Can we please talk about that for just 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned this, and every time my mouth is always drooling. Just for everybody out there who hasn't had your Ninja Creamy, can you just quickly tell us what that is?
So easy. It's basically, It is a scoop of protein powder and a scoop of 10 grams of collagen. And then you've got unsweetened almond milk. And then I put a little grind of salt, and you literally, the machine, the instruction is to freeze it. And then you pop it in the Ninja Creamy machine and you blitz it up a few times. You put a little bit of a sort of something in it, like a yogurt or a cottage cheese or an almond milk, whatever, but you make it really creamy. And it is literally like ice cream. You turn your protein shake into ice cream. It is genius. And I got my machine 2 years ago. The problem is, talking about health, is that for the last 2 times I've been doing this creamy, I've noticed little black flecks of plastic in the cream. So the creamy top is burning and going into my creamy. And I'm like, okay, I need an update. Like it is out of warranty. I am not bothered. I cannot be bothered with the admin of ringing up Ninja and going, should this be happening? And then they'll make me send it away and get it repaired or checked.
I'm the same as you. I'm glad that it's another reason that we are such good friends is I'm a terrible return person.
Oh, same.
Like doing all the things. I'm like I already died. You know what I mean? I'm I just can't even. I know I'm losing money as we say that, but I would rather do just about anything than follow the warranty or take something back. I'm just not a good return person. I think simply put, I'm just not. And I did have that happen to me the other day. I don't have a Ninja thing, but I have a regular blender, and we had ours forever. And the goddamn thing started to burn on the bottom because I make probably 3 smoothies a day or something ridiculous. So it's getting its workout. No pun intended. So you don't have the plastic flakes, but my mouth is watering. You have everything else. And I think you just put that little bit of, so it's unsweetened almond milk. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I get regular almond milk, but if I get the unsweetened, I'll remember that next time. But I have that, then it's collagen, a scoop of protein powder, and just a little dash of salt. And then you mix that thing up in the Ninja, and then you stick it in the freezer?
No, you freeze it first, and then it comes out.
You freeze it first.
It's frozen first. And
so, like a ball.
Yeah, and so the Ninja's job is to turn it into ice cream, turn this frozen block into ice cream.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's
Understood
so simple.
now.
I know. And I mean, people get so inventive with their mix-ins and toppings and stuff. And I mean, I have it after lunch, so I don't have the stomach space for a huge amount anyway. But also, like, it then, like, if you're putting Oreo cookies in that thing, marshmallows, chocolate chips, I mean, delicious, but you turn it from this amazing protein rich, voluminous snack into some ice cream treat, which is fine if that's what
We
you're
all
after.
do that though. That's like our biggest, that is like where the buck stops, you know, like I'm like, I do that. I've done this to myself. I totally
Oh, yeah.
sabotage a good thing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I like will take, you know, Greek yogurt for my treat. And I allow myself to have a little drizzle of, you know, maple syrup and maybe like just a dropping of granola. But I have to stop there because otherwise it becomes a vehicle for too much stuff on top. So I'm like, you can have one or two, but you need to stop it right there because
Well,
otherwise I'll just start pouring it all in there, you
and
know.
do you know what, Jason? It's interesting. This is almost the antithesis of what we're talking about today. But
There we go.
I
Yeah.
will agree with
Perfect.
you.
Yeah, always lead us to where we need to go.
I know, which is great. But the thing is that for some people that's absolutely fine, but actually for others, this is where their stall can sort of happen. But to my point about the antithesis, what I do want to talk about today is these invisible caps that particularly women put on, like we're just talking about, and I'm the same, you're the same, like we talk about it, and they're not invisible, they're obvious, but some people aren't aware that they do this, and it then ends up sort of backfiring on them. So can I explain what I mean, and then we just sort of roll it from there?
Of course.
Yeah. So this has come up a bit in my client consults of late, and in part because some people that I'm chatting to are gearing up towards training for a big event like Kona Triathlon, or they've got a big run coming up and whatever. And so they've got this sort of base intake of food that they eat, and then they start doing a bit more activity, but they don't actually change the base of the intake that they are actually eating. So what happens there is that then hunger ramps up because they're not actually eating enough to support their activity. But instead of like looking for sort of better sources of things, they're just increasing the amount of incidental treats that are going in. That's one person. But also another person is just the
Repeat that last person again. It's the one they're ramping up their training. They're like getting ready for a big event.
Yeah.
And then what do they do sometimes?
So their base food doesn't change. So regardless of whether they're doing a 2-hour run in the morning or they're doing an 80-minute run, they'll have the same breakfast.
Got it.
And that breakfast is great if you're doing an 80-minute run, but now you've run an extra 40 minutes, but you're still eating the same breakfast. And you're like,
okay,
oh, I'm a bit hungry, but whatever. And then they'll go to lunch and they don't change what they have for lunch. They still feel a bit hungry, but they'll continue to eat lunch because we have these invisible caps that we put on what we can eat. Like we can't eat over a certain number of calories. For a lot of women, it's like 500. You get more than 500 calories in that meal, you're eating too much. You know, they may not be aware of that thought pattern, but it's sort of there. Or you can't have any more than the small whatever you're ordering, because if I order a medium or a large, I'm a bit of a guts if I do that. But
so the person that's ordering the one that is still hungry, you're saying for lunch, like you're training for the 90-minute whatever event or your run earlier that day, like, and they're still staying with that smaller lunch even though they're hungry, and you're saying why are you doing that? Like add a little extra something to that meal.
Yeah, and it's not, and I'm not questioning why they're doing it because I know why they're doing it.
Because even right there, even in that moment, I was like, oh, she's probably going to say they should just stay there or less. See, that's where my brain went. And you're like, no.
Yeah.
You're like, no, add.
Yeah.
100%. I'm always in deficit. I'm always thinking it's too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or stay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I'm not asking them necessarily why they're doing that, because I already know why they're doing that, because they've got this invisible cap where they're like, I can't, if you eat more than 500 calories in a meal, this was my friend Nikki and I were having this conversation on our run this morning. Like, you eat more than that, you're eating too much. If your serving portion is any more than just this amount on a plate, you're a guts and you're eating too much. And these are the thought patterns that people have in their head about how they talk to themselves or how they perceive others to talk. And so
oh my God,
you get through the day, and the problem is at the end of the day, you're eating peanut butter cups you're eating a creamy with all the mix-ins, or
Yeah.
or you've got the nut butter jar out and you're like, well, I'm not having chocolate, instead I'll have nut butter. And then you end up having about half a cup of nut butter.
I do that all the time. That
Everyone
one, well,
does
I
that all
do
the
less now
time.
because you've kicked my ass on that one too many times. So now
Yeah,
I'm like, I
yeah.
just leave the nut butter alone. But I've always I've always said, well, this is better. At least you're healthier, right? You're
Yeah.
eating nut butter over the peanut butter cups. But then you reminded me that the caloric intake is like, you're like, well, you had 4 tablespoons of that, so you just loaded 600 calories. So really, your 2 peanut butter cups probably would have been a better option
A better
than your
option. Yeah.
4 tablespoons than your peanut butter. I do that so often subconsciously. I rank food
Yeah.
in the way we probably subconsciously rank other shit too.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? Like,
Yes.
right? We do this weird thing all the time, right?
It's okay if I read, but I can't watch TV, because to watch TV, I'm
100%.
lazy. Yeah. But to read,
There, boom,
I
that.
know it's exactly the same
Yep.
thing. Like,
And
don't
on
catch
and
me
on and
scrolling
on
on
and
social
on,
media, but I can do this thing. Um,
on and on and on. Yeah,
we put this
that's right.
moral judgment on not
Mm,
only those behaviors we just mentioned, but I do think as well on ourselves for our choices on food. And to the point of your point and my point about the nut butters, the mixes, the creamies, and in that it's not necessarily an issue from a calorie perspective for everyone, but what they're doing
mhm.
is it's a prime, it can be. So this is where people I see who struggle to lose weight, often they overshoot at the end of the night because of it. But
Yeah,
also, they're not utilizing, like, they've been active during the day. That's when you want to fuel the machine. That's when you
I
want that
know.
higher calories. You, instead of having, you know, a slice of toast, you do want 2 slices of toast. Like, and I think this is where health conscious people who are also weight conscious can go a little awry. And I'm absolutely part of the problem. So don't worry. I know that I feel this in people as well, is that we're so focused on getting protein in that we don't necessarily think about other things, and we stop. It's not that we don't listen to our appetite, but if we did, we'd probably eat more food, wouldn't
Yes.
we? Because we're
I mean,
hungry.
well, there's no question. I think two things that you said in the throes of that. I mean, everything that we've kind of continued, that I always do my absolute best, and you're now allowing me to to take a lot of these complex things that we talk about, on some of our lives and our podcasts, that are like very, sciencey about the body. And I just kind of take the little nugget, like, just the fact that, like, eating protein alone, you're burning more calories, right? Like,
Yeah.
so this kind of concept is like, it's easier to kind of run with that when you're making food choices throughout the day. We've also, another gem you always give me, that I carry out into the universe, is like, kind of like put it in and then use it, right? Like, so now,
Yes.
like, even like at dinner time, I'm not doing anything crazy, but I walk around the block after dinner, or even walk
Yeah.
laps in my driveway. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not crazy. I'm just trying to tell my body, when I eat, I need it to go. You're using it, it's fuel source. And then the third thing, the nighttime thing, my theory around that is, it's like a finish line for people. Like, I was so good. Even just
Yeah.
saying it alone
No, I
sounds
know,
very
but
like, ugh.
that's how we
But I was
think.
so
Yeah.
good, right, throughout the day, that I deserve to have some extra toppings.
Yeah.
I'm a Ninja Creamy, and I definitely deserve to have a few peanut butter cups, which is my story of my life for sure. But like, it's that finish line concept is just a really dangerous kind of place to be, because it's every night. It's every night. The finish line's every night.
Yeah, and it's not. And so a couple of things with that, like, is that it's not that the cups themselves are the issue.
Mm-mm.
It's, but you just don't want to
No,
be hungry there. You've had a whole day of exercise and
this is it.
eating.
This is it.
Like, if you're
Yeah.
focusing on protein and still hungry at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you've
Yeah.
undereaten. And that's
True.
that's how I think about it. And that's
That's
how,
true.
and people
Yeah.
listening to this are our audience, and they are people who will be dialing
Mm-hmm.
in their protein, and they will be like, if they experience this, then 100% that's the same sort of deal. And to your point, I've eaten, therefore I've exercised. We need to flip that on its head. If you've exercised, make sure you're eating. Like,
Right.
it's actually the opposite, the opposite concept, if you like. And it's
Say that again.
hard.
I mean, make it so it makes sense one more time. So say what you just said again,
Okay,
like
so to
in
your point, you were like,
mhm,
if I've eaten, I have to exercise, get around the block to make my body move because it's fuel.
right.
But
Right.
actually, if you've exercised, you need to eat.
Right.
So we flip it up.
Yes.
We flip it up. Whereas so much we're in that deficit, restrictive, deprivation mindset that it's like put it all out, but don't think about putting it back in.
Right. And right. And that probably came a little off a little weird because you're like, oh God, Jessica, so you're eating and then going
No,
exercising
no,
what you
no,
just
you're not at
ate.
all. Because
But
I
yeah,
love that. Because you
no,
actually,
yes, the
digestion's
actual
good.
night walk,
Yeah,
yes.
it's
So
great.
that was really the principle around that is like just aiding in digestion and just kind of reminding your body like that even at dinner time, like, because obviously during the day it's easier for me to like kind of get up and move around a little bit, but
Yeah,
at night sometimes I just don't tend to do that. So I'm just saying maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes, whatever it is. I
yeah,
just kind of move around a little bit, a little walk, just so that my body knows this is how to, just kind of process it. But you're right. It's just, you do have to kind of flip that thing, because if we say to my son who's 14, who literally is currently eating us out of house and home because he's working out, he's training 2 sports right now, 6 hours a day. It's a lot. And so, and you just can't fuel him enough. I'm
yeah,
going to grocery store like 2 times a day, but obviously I'm not a 14-year-old boy, but I do have to, I really am trying to think, and I hope for all of us, like just to think about, how we're fueling.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I really want to eat for energy,
Yeah,
you know,
100%. And
rather than just, am I a good girl today kind of
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. No, I
It
love
just
Jess.
comes from like trauma
Yeah.
from my childhood.
No, do you know what though? What you've just described is seriously like so many people out there. And I absolutely, over the years, that's one of the, that's been such a work on. My Brandon, who's been on my podcast several times, and we DM almost daily on like topics and stuff that come up. And he did a great podcast on nutrient timing, which is so like I need to talk to him again about it actually,
Mm-hmm.
because he's very nuanced. So it's not just, do I train fasted or not? There's just so much
Yeah, I
goes
love
into
that.
it. And
Yeah.
he talks about, if you are just about the cortisol response to exercise, which is a
Mm,
necessary and normal part of exercise, but
mm-hmm.
equally, if you're going in always sort of underfueled and underfed, then actually
Yeah.
that's, and we talk about this a lot, that's actually the problem. And that's where
Do your cortisol levels just spike up so much higher than when you go into exercise underfueled?
I think it's less about the spike and more about how quickly they come down.
Mm,
Because
okay.
it's the chronic elevation, it's not the spike.
Ah, very good. That makes
Yeah.
a ton of sense.
Yeah,
And
great.
are you in chronic elevated cortisol mode when you're just undernourishing?
Yeah. Yeah. And you feel it too. Like there's that
Yeah,
slight
I do.
sympathetic undertone. Like,
Yeah.
that slight like so and you know what, just like everything, like as you even just a couple of those comments you said, like that's exactly how so many people think about it. It's so normal. It's normal. It's common. And we've
It's good
normalized
to
it.
name this stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like part of how we evolve, I mean, is just to give name to it,
Yeah.
right? To be able to like talk about what the heck this means, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
why we're thinking this way. So just mostly so that you can separate the rational brain from the emotional brain just for
Yeah.
a hot second.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I do it in every decision that I make, but I do. Food is so integral. It's your entire day. If you think about
Yeah.
how like you eat probably just as much as you do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a
Yeah.
lot of
Actually,
hours, right?
it does.
So
Gets a lot of
you
airtime.
really need to study it and think about it
Yeah.
and like, and just sort of understand that. But that piece, that cap thing, just to again kind of, you went back to your beginning example of having, that's one place. Obviously you coach and you help clients that are training for big events. But it is kind of a funny concept that to think that they wouldn't alter their meals in some way. You know what I mean? It's like, well, here's this big event and they're still potentially under eating. right? Because they
that's
just can't
actually,
seem to.
and just so people know, I use that as an example. That's like 5% of my people, and
I was just
and
gonna say, because I
every
can
other
hear
person does
everybody
that
going like,
too.
"Ugh, it must be so hard to undereat." You know, I get that you're all rolling your eyes right now as you hear that one, because we're not part of that category.
And
but
it's not an athlete. It's not just an athlete thing, but it is something which
Mm-mm.
athletes struggle with. It's like anyone that's ever had to be conscious about what they put in their mouths, or who has been
Yeah.
conscious, will have these invisible caps of, if they're tracking their calories, it'll be like, well, if I keep this under 500, like if you did that for 3 meals a day, you'd be eating under 1,500 calories. May be appropriate for some, but it might be too little for others. And that's why if you are dialing in your food and you're following a lot of the structure that you and I talk about all the time with protein and with fiber and volume, and you're hungry, you need to eat more, because you're actually ignoring. So people who don't eat that way, it's difficult for them to tune into their actual hunger cues, because so often it's coming off blood sugar spikes and
Oh my God, this
things
is
like
so
that.
good. That's so good.
Yeah, it's
That
so true.
comment right there is so huge.
But
that is such an important thing right there. Like you've stopped recognizing if are you hungry because you haven't eaten enough during the day, or are you hungry now because you effed up your blood sugar spike? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of that's an interesting thing. I'm not even sure the answer to that.
Yeah, but the way to sort of determine it is, am I hitting my protein? Am I hitting my fiber? Because those things are the two fundamentals for helping balance your blood sugar.
Bingo.
Okay. Yes. And so if you're doing all that, and you're hungry, you're under eating.
That is so like I love that. I love when it's just that straightforward, because sometimes it really can be. You know what I mean? Like, just hold on to the two things, protein and fiber, and we'll remind you of good fiber sources. That one always seems to get lost in the universe for me.
Honestly, people can go to ChatGPT, get your fiber source
I know.
from there. They
That's
don't
what I
need
was
me
thinking
to Google
too.
it for them.
This is exactly it. You know, go to your main go to your ChatGPT, put that in, and then keep a list. You know, that's what I've been doing too. Like whenever I go to the grocery store, I just like open up like my note app or something. So I'm heading down, and this is a great season and where we are, just for fruits and things like that, because there's fiber in there. But I love that concept. Like if you've been eating enough fiber and protein throughout the day and you're starving at night,
under eating. I know, it's pretty obvious when you put it like that, hey? And I guess
it's not though, because it's not obvious to me, because I'm hungry, and sometimes I am hungry, and I do have this weird relationship, mostly at the end of the night, where I'm afraid. This is such a weird, fucked up thing, but since we're here, I'm afraid sometimes to eat like Greek yogurt or another half a chicken breast, I'm like, no, that's too much. Like I'll just have a little tea and 2 peanut butter cups. Like it's so funny. Like to me, I'm like, that's better. Your voice in my head is pretty loud. So often it's like, this is what I see you doing you know what I mean? If you were like in my kitchen, like, come on. But it's still so hardwired in me. I know I'm not alone. I know there's people out there that are going, yep, I do what Jessica does. But that's when we were talking about this conversation earlier, I kind of also saw that like cap concept around that too. Like I'm capped already from like eating real food. Now it's nighttime and I should just have this little bit of treat because I can't possibly have Greek yogurt right now or chicken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I feel like, and there's nothing wrong with the PB cup. And in fact, if you were ever to eat chocolate, I would say it's after a meal when you're not hungry. You don't want to be having it when you're hungry. Because if you're
so
hungry,
fair. There's a little bit. Okay, so good.
But but you shouldn't be starving. You should look like universal. You should look forward to food and feel hungry for it, but then feel satisfied after the meal.
I am going to be paying more attention to hunger cues, and I'm still going to allow myself to have a chocolate peanut butter cup, but I'm also going to have half a cup of Greek yogurt if need be too. Because the other funny thing about all this is that, to remind people, is that serving size of non-fat plain Greek yogurt, not added, is like 110 calories. You know what I mean? Like overall, it's like, and it's super freaking satiating. And I'm probably not going to, I probably had that even though I could allow myself to have 2 peanut butter cups after, I'm probably not going to want them because I'm going to be full from my 110 calorie, like freaking, 3/4 cup non-fat Greek yogurt dessert.
And for people who are counting, like,
Yeah.
and maybe also for you, Jess, like if you ate earlier in the day, if you had the opportunity to eat more at the times you do eat, because this is this is why people struggle, then maybe that is that I guess that's my point, is that if your meals were bigger, and if you had more calories coming in at your mealtime when you were sort of needing it because you're hungry, and it's from good food, then then it's an easier, it's better than being hungry at the end of the day after your meals.
I think that's true. Yeah. I think it's starting to feel a little bit more logical. Gosh almighty, though, these mindset shifts are unbelievably hardwired in, but I'm supremely grateful. Because without having these discussions, without bringing this into the universe, I feel like people feel in prison a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they're literally stuck. And so until they hear Mikki and Jess like have a little conversation over tea about it, it's like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. Let me kind of get behind this a little bit more and try it on. And I always say that the habits are just small changes done incrementally over time. And then all of a sudden you're doing things a little differently, and maybe you feel a little differently too. But gosh, it's just nice to hear it communicated this way, because I there is a genuine fear of food sometimes for me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, I think if we can break the fear cycle.
I agree. And actually, and to your point, you talk about it, it also, it sort of demystifies and does sort of allay some of that fear. And so, Jess, maybe what you need to do is just send me a text every time you're like, at the end of the day, you're like, I'm hungry. Do I want that chicken breast? And I'll be like, yes, Jessica, you do. And then you'll know. You'll have your little food person coaching you through. And again, this is accountability, isn't it? Like part of it is that like this is coaching. This is what you and I do in different areas.
That's right. That's right.
So it's just as important to sometimes think about it from an addition and an eating opportunity rather than always just like reducing, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's it. So when you also think about it too, it's like I'm going back to those like abundant scarcity mindsets too, right? Like you're like, here is a deeper, richer way. And I know I help you with some of those psychological things where you're like, I can't get to the other side of this like particular like relationship situation. I'm like, here, let's come in. Let me dissect it and we'll do it this way. But it's the same kind of thing. Like I can live in an abundant way around food. I can eat, you know what I mean? And enjoy it. I can have this like bigger, fuller experience. But most of my life has always been about, to some degree, probably a little bit of deprivation, you know what I mean? And I think we just have these weird, false ways of controlling our food. Next conversation will be about, different allergies and things that people feel like, well, I can't have this and I can't have that, or my stomach feels upset. I think that's a whole kind of another discussion around the scarce mindset around food too.
Oh, well, we will lock that in for next time. All right, Jess. Well, I know you've got to run. I've got to run. Thank you.
We can't run yet until we say what we're grateful for. Of course, next.
Oh yeah.
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful to have this opportunity to have the conversation. Like it's been on my mind, and I feel like just putting it out there hopefully will help people just even be aware that it's there. Like this isn't everyone, but it's a lot of people. And if you struggle in this area, then I think even just to your point, naming it and talking about it is super helpful. So thank you.
I am so grateful and thank you. And just think to yourself, since I love a good acronym, just think P and F, protein, fiber.
Love it.
Or M and J, Mikki and Jess.
There you go. Amazing.
You're the protein, I'm the fiber.
There you go.
I'm grateful for you and everybody.
Jess.
I'll see you soon.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.